Ryan Clark to another morning of Get Up. As we get this thing rolling on a Wednesday, here we go. Todd McShay's post-Super Bowl mock draft is out and available on ESPN Plus, and he has 4 quarterbacks with the first 4 picks. No surprise at number 1, Trevor Lawrence going to the Jaguars. We all know that's coming. The next quarterback off the board, maybe a little bit of a surprise. BYU's Zach Wilson going number 2 to the Jets. He was spectacular last year at BYU. All the talk right now is about him. At number 3 overall, McShay has the Panthers moving up from 8 in a trade with the Dolphins to take North Dakota State's Trey Lance as their quarterback of the future. And then at 4 to the Falcons, Ohio State's Justin Fields, who finished with the second highest total QBR in the entire country this year, had some great moments and some that were not as great. So let's bring in the crew to talk about this. And Mike T, we'll start with you as far as the evaluation, because I know you've been looking at these quarterbacks already. The way he has them in order right now would be Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Fields, and then Mac Jones, his 5 quarterbacks in round 1. Is that the order that you would see them going if you were making the picks?
I don't. I would certainly start with Trevor Lawrence, number 1, no discussion there. Number 2, reluctant discussion there. Number 2, reluctant Shea, which is I would take Zach Wilson. Some concerns about durability that we'll get into. My next quarterback, though, is Mac Jones. If this was a race, he's coming around that last turn, Greeny. He is closing really fast. I think he goes 3, then Justin Fields, and then Trey Lance, who only played 1 game in college this year. So I see it differently than Todd, and we have a couple months here to get it sorted out.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot of the conversation here, is in what order these guys go. And I agree with you. Coming off the Senior Bowl performance, that guy, Mac Jones, was all the talk of so many people. So let me go to you, Graziano, because it is a foregone conclusion that Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 to Jacksonville. I don't think anyone doubts that.
Yes.
So the expression goes, the draft starts at number 2. Todd is projecting the Jets will take a quarterback, which would suggest they're going to trade away Sam Darnold. What are you hearing coming out of the Jets?
What we've been hearing with the Jets for months is that they'll either, since the order was set, they'll either trade the pick and keep Darnold, or they'll trade Darnold and keep the pick and take a quarterback. The latter seems more likely now. If you'd asked a month ago, it probably would have been the former. And to Mike's point, these things do change over the next couple of months. But right now, it seems the chatter seems to indicate that Darnold's available in trade, which would seem to indicate that the Jets are interested in taking a quarterback number 2. The wild card, of course, is if the Jets trade for Deshaun Watson, but we've talked about that. That's for down the road. Right now, it looks like number 2 would be a quarterback, and Zach Wilson is a guy whose name you hear a lot, connected to more than one team in that top 4. And I think at this point, arrow points toward him as the number 2 quarterback taken, possibly the number 2 player taken overall. Certainly, if you see Sam Darnold traded, that would be a strong indication that the Jets are going quarterback at number 2.
All right, and so Ryan Clark, I know that you have started looking at Zach Wilson based upon something that you heard here on this show, I believe, and I know you've been impressed with what you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, David Pollack came on this show, and he started throwing out names like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. And I was like, man, Dave is tripping. He need to start eating some carbs. You know, dude ain't had carbs in 6 years, and sometimes that can mess with your head. And so now when I'm looking at this draft, and you got 4 quarterbacks going at the top. We didn't see that in 04. We didn't see 3 go at the top. And those dudes, Eli, Rivers, Roethlisberger's, might be Hall of Famers. When we think about Dan Marino, Jim Kelly in that draft, John Elway, those guys didn't go 4 at the top. So now I'm really starting to think about it. If this was the 4 horsemen in the WWE, Trevor Lawrence wouldn't be Ric Flair. It would be Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is that dude. And so I start to watch some of the things, some of the off-balance throws. You see some of the arm talent while he's moving up in the pocket. He's getting outside and throwing back across his body. And now you start to see some of that Patrick Mahomes, some of that Aaron Rodgers stuff. And I say to myself, nobody's going to wait till 10 this time. They're not going to trade up if you're Kansas City. Nobody's going to wait till the mid-20s the way that the Green Bay Packers did for Aaron Rodgers. So it doesn't matter that he went to BYU. I don't think it matters that he has some injury concerns, because when you watch this dude play, you understand that he makes plays that other guys in college can't. And that's including Trevor Lawrence. There's a play from this season that Daniel Jeremiah posted where he steps up into the pocket. He throws in the double coverage, and hits wide receiver in the face mask. doesn't that remind you of a dude that just put on a show, even though he was under siege from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line? Zach Wilson is that dude, and I think he will go number 2.
You make a really interesting point. He may go number 2 because teams are afraid of missing out on him because he shows those flashes of being so spectacular. So Dominique Foxworth jumps in with us as well. What do you think of this? 4 quarterbacks going off the top of the draft. How would you see it if that's what comes to pass?
I mean, I love quarterbacks as much as the next guy, and I understand how valuable they are. But I think the lesson that we should have learned from the Super Bowl is not that you might be able to find Patrick Mahomes, it's that you better protect your quarterback no matter who it is. So Penei Sewell from Oregon, he's a can't-miss prospect. Quarterbacks are coin tosses, like, to be frank, and that's being generous. Like, no matter how good your numbers are, no matter how many measurables you have and how effectively you use your offense in college, so many of those guys coming in the league and fail. You know who's not going to miss? That dude right there, because everything that he is doing in these games are things that he can do in the NFL. And we saw a lot of rookie tackles last year come out and be great, frankly, and have immediate impacts. And we even saw that with Tampa Bay. So that's the thing I'm looking at. Any quarterback or any team who wants to build a roster, if you are really certain about this quarterback, fine. But chances are you're going to miss. But you won't miss on this particular tackle. He will make your team better, your quarterback better, right off the bat. Why you moving them hands down there, Tannenbaum? You know I'm right. Keep your hands still, man.
So, the tackle may be the shortest bet in this draft, including Trevor Lawrence. This draft, including Trevor Lawrence.
Here's, when you talk to teams around the league, here's the concern that teams have. In next year's draft, maybe there's one quarterback in the first round, Keaton Slaughter of USC. So if you're a team like the Atlanta Falcons who needs a quarterback, not necessarily this year, but next year, this is the year to get him, and that's why we're going to see so many quarterbacks going early. I love tackles like you do, but when you look at supply and demand over the next 2 years, teams like Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta may use this draft to get next year's quarterback.
It's an important point. I could talk about this forever, and we will have much more on it. And McShay will join us live coming up a little later as well. In total, he has 5 quarterbacks, as I mentioned, going in the first round, including Mac Jones going 12 to the Bears in what would be another trade scenario. But let's get to the other huge story of the day from football.